Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, Women's March family and community. We got a good crew of folks jumping in, and we're letting everybody get into the room. Welcome. Good evening, good evening. Thanks, y'all, for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday evening. It's been a day, y'all. It has been a day. Um, For y'all who don't know me, who haven't met me, I'm Tamika Middleton. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the managing director at Women's March. And we'll let some folks slide in. We still got folks coming in. Look at this, we almost at 1,000 folks joining us already. So we will let some folks join us. But while we are letting people join us, I would love it if you would drop into the chat your name, your pronouns, where you are in the world, like where you're joining us from, and also what are you doing? What's nourishing your heart right now? Let us know what is nourishing your heart in this moment. And I know it is, there are times, there are things. We want to try to hold on to what it is. I see folks being nourished by their pets. Yes. Lots of cat parents, some tea. Shout out to all the folks on the tea remedies, the herbal remedies in the building. We got a lot of Maryland folks in the room. Shout out to y'all. Come through. Austin, Texas, New York City, Salt Lake City, Detroit. Oh, we are really all over the place. Minnesota, Massachusetts. Yeah, if you're just joining us, we're introducing ourselves in the chat. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're joining us from, and tell us what is nourishing your heart in this moment. Making paper cranes, that's amazing. I love that. Kids, absolutely. I will say again, my name is Tamika Middleton. I'm the managing director at Women's March. I am joining you from Muskogee Creek Land here in Atlanta, Georgia, or Metro Atlanta, technically. Um, and I am being nourished also by my kids, but very much by all of you. The energy that you all have brought this past weekend when we were all together in DC, 15,000 of us. Many of you were marching and mobilizing in your cities and your towns, and all the energy of you all day today. I know that this has been a hard day, but I am always comforted and nourished by the reminder that we have each other, that we will show up for each other, we will hold each other down, through all of it, no matter what is up. That we have our families to lean on, we have our pets to lean on, we have each other to lean on. And so I want to encourage you to remain in that energy, to keep feeling and leaning into that and into the things that nourish you. We have an amazing, amazing call for you today. I'm so geeked because if any of you have been around Women's March for a minute, and maybe you joined us a couple years ago for our Feminist Futures series, and you might know that I love, love, love healing justice. And I love to get to sit and play in the world of healing justice, helping folks think about healing justice frames and strategies, and just being in space with healers and folks who are doing the work of healing. So I got to invite some of my very favorite people to be on this call and to provide some offerings of support for y'all, some grounding to all of you, to really help us be present in this moment, to not shy away from what we're feeling, but to actually be in what we're feeling and to transform what we're feeling. Because the reality is, as we said, if you see the graphic, that we can grieve, we can mourn, but we also have to be clear that we are not done, right? That we can stay in the work, we can stay in the fight, and that our healing is resistance, and also our resistance is healing. So that is what we're up to today. That is why we have brought y'all together to really offer some space for us to think about that, to be together, offer you some tools and maybe some skills and some practices that you will get to experience this evening. If you miss it, if there's something you want to revisit, if you got a homie, a bestie, a daughter, a mama who want to check it out later, it will be living on our YouTube and on our Facebook once we leave this space together. So what we're going to get into. So this right here is our grounding, me giving y'all some context. Then we have three speakers who are going to also offer not just some context and some words of encouragement, but also some practices, some healing practices. And then we have a couple speakers from our RJ community who are going to give you some grounding that is really around how we show up and how we hold each other, how they are situating themselves and their work in this time in the movement. So I want to thank y'all so much. I see y'all Paige from South Carolina. Hey, I'm also a South Carolina native. Shout out. And so we know, thank you. Showing up for folks who have their therapy. We want you to be in all the practices, tap into all the ways that you heal and transform in this time. So after we get into our five presenters, then we'll just go to a closing. But I want to name and encourage up front. If you did not see the message in some of the social media posts, our last presenter or our last practitioner is going to offer us a restorative yoga practice that there is an invitation there to have, if you don't have a yoga mat, something comfortable, a comfortable space, some blankets and pillows, and maybe a journal as well. So there'll be plenty of time to gather those things. That's going to be our last practice of the evening, but just want to let y'all know that it's coming. All right. So our first offering today is coming from Adaku Uta, who I don't think that I could speak highly enough of Adaku. Adaku, I get to be in so many spaces with Adaku. Adaku is a healer, one of the founders and the executive director of Harriet's Apothecary, a collective of amazing healers out of New York. Adaku is also, I get to be on the training team with Adaku for Black Organizers for Leadership and Dignity, bringing embodied practice and leadership and politicized healing to Black leaders in social justice movements. Adaku also is at the Building Movement Project doing amazing movement building work. And before that was the organizing director at National Network for Abortion Funds. So really is an RJ homie, a healing justice homie, and just like an all-around dope Niger beautiful person. So I'm super excited for y'all to experience Adaku. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Adaku.
Tamika, I love and adore you so much. And in particular, it's so good to be in relationship with folks that you've known for a minute, for decades even, folks who have seen you through some shit and you've gotten through some shit to the other side. And Tamika is one of those people who I deeply trust. And I am so damn grateful to call you family and to call you beloved and to be rocking with you in this moment and in so many moments. Thank you for all the ways that you have seen us through. And thank you for bringing us together in this way and in so many different ways. I love you. Hey, comrades. Hey, beloveds. My name again is Adaku Uta. I use all pronouns. I am beaming to you all from Lenni Lenape land, also known as Edgewater, New Jersey, by way of Lagos, Nigeria, where I'm from, where so many of my people are from, and lands that have taught me so much about how to be with chaos and crisis and to be connected with community. And for folks who can't see me, I am a dark-skinned, non-binary person with poetic justice braids, honey, circa 1998, Janet Jackson, you know if you know. I have a Zoom background with a brown background with tropical plants. And y'all, I am coming in with a broken heart. My heart feels really, really sore. Um, I can feel the heat of the grief and rage moving through me. And I am so concerned for my family. I'm concerned for us. Um, and I feel deeply connected to community. I'm also coming in alive. And like many of you, my life would not be possible without Ubuntu. Ubuntu, which is a Bantu word that means I am because we are because I am. And in all of our lineages, whether blood or chosen, there are people who have fought, who have danced, who have wept, who have organized, who have held each other to make sure that we are here and exist into the future, even as ancestors and transcestors, that they make sure that our people are remembered for the rest of time. Um, and I just want to offer gratitude and reverence to so many folks who practice Ubuntu so powerfully, to the organizers who have been on the ground, who I've been linking arms with to make sure that genocide and occupations are extinct. I want to shout out the fungi who have been around before human beings were, who know more about interdependence than we do. We have so much to learn from them. We are the youngest species and the loneliest ones. And I'm so grateful for everything that they teach us about how to decompose what we don't need and to turn what is dying into what can be a source of life into the future. Shout out to the Ubuntu that comes from water, y'all. We are 70 to 80% water. The audacity and the generosity of water make sure that we're able to carve a movable rock, that we're able to build underground aquifers to feed ecosystems just like us. Shout out to our great, great, great grandparents who hid seeds in braids, who made sure that songs were in our throats that we could sing when we're afraid, who passed down organizing strategies from elders to young people and from young people to elders. Shout out to the Ubuntu from the land keepers and the water bearers. And y'all, let's be real. Every single one of us is alive today because there is somebody, and for some of us, someone's with an S, that loves the shit out of you, that cares about you, that's like, you need to be alive. You need to be here on your own terms. And some of those folks are in this room. Some of those folks are practice partners. They're our situationships, okay? They are our political homes like Women's March and the National Network of Abortion Funds and Movement for Black Lives and Working Families Party. So I give thanks for Ubuntu and the many ways that love and care are so present, even when we forget, even when we forget. And even with all of this love and care, this is a moment, this is a time that is rough. And we will have to turn and face so many hard contradictions for some time. Some of the big ones that I'm noticing in the work that I'm in the organizing that I get to do locally and nationally are, how do we center our safety and not put ourselves at greater risk? How do we not raise the risk, especially for folks who are facing more and more risk every day, like our migrant folks, our trans folks, folks who are disabled, folks who are criminalized? How do we keep engaging people in building power when more of our people feel distrustful of power in so many ways? And then how do we balance the urgency of meeting so many needs with our sustainability long term, not just our individual sustainability, but the sustainability of our movements, the sustainability of our organizations, the sustainability of our political homes? So I don't have all the answers. Thankfully, I don't have all the answers to all of these contradictions. I mean, that is why we have each other. And many folks in this room, many organizations have been turning and facing these contradictions for so long and will continue to do so for a while to make sure that we can be with our folks in the complexity, the mess, the fuckery of what's happening right now, being really clear about where we need to turn our attention and how we get to freedom. What I do know is that our capacity to show up increases when we are more resourced and fortified. So I and my comrades here, also shout out to my comrades. These are also folks I love so much. Oryaku, Aisha, Sakari, what? We are going to be sharing some practices with you and also some resources. And my intention in this moment is to keep recentering connection, care, congruence, and choice. Connection, care, congruence, and choice. Connection, care, congruence, and choice. So, a couple of invitations before we dive into some practice together. Many of us in here are building a world where more of us are self-determined. And one way we get to practice that in this room is choosing how your body moves in this space. So I will be offering invitations to you. This is a practice that will invite you to be with more of you. And you get to choose how you want to show up with that. You know your body a lot better than I do. And so if you're like, hell no, I don't want to do that, you can pause, you can mute me and do your own thing that will support your own nourishment and your own care in this moment. If you need to move at your own pace, thank you, Amanda. Let's actually go to the third slide. Yeah. Yeah. Um, pace, pace. The destructiveness of authoritarianism is having us move faster than freedom allows. So practice here, even now, finding a pace that honors your own freedom, your own your own zhuzh, your own I don't knows. And you are at choice with everything that I offer. Yeah. A couple of things, if we can go to the next slide. If you are choosing not to do this grounding practice, you can pull up to the bumper of a couple of things around you and within you that are already supporting your care, coherence, connection, and choice. That might be water. Have you had some water today? Sip on some water, y'all. You might need to grab some food, get into them snacks, honey. The fur babies might need that extra holding with consent. I was squeezing my dog here, Nala, a little bit too tight earlier. Maybe a plant or a rock or something beautiful around you that you can focus your attention on if you're choosing not to be in a practice with us. And if we can go to the next slide, if you prefer to just turn your attention to one of my favorite reliable sources of care, water, you can pay attention to this visual of the ocean and the moon, all both which have so much medicine to offer us in times of joy, in times of disaster, and in times of possibility. Or for my folks who are on the East Coast, you might peek out and look out at the stars. So you get to choose. So let's practice together. And Amanda, shout out to Amanda who's holding things down in the background. Appreciate you, love. Let us bring in beautiful chorus, who is one of my favorite songstresses. Thank you, Amanda. And they're going to carry us with their sound as we engage in practice together. So as the sound is coming on, let us reclaim our body. And one way to do that is to choose how you want to position yourself in this moment. Positioning yourself in a way that allows for you to be seen, not by us, but by you. And a position that invites more care for you as you are, not you showing up as a projection or performance, but you as you are. For some of you, this might look like laying down with your back on the bed or curled up on the floor. For others, you might need to pace gently around your room. For others, you might want to sit still in your chair. And if you're sitting in your chair, just give yourself a little bit more space between yourself and the computer so you can get a little bit more connected with you. And this position does not have to be static. It can change just like we do. Octavia Butler reminds us that all that we touch, we change, all that we change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. So if you need to change at any moment, change towards what invites more care for you. In the presence of chaos and crisis, we can shrink away from ourselves and the support that's already there. And one support that is always there is gravity. So see if you can give more of yourself to gravity or whatever surface is holding you right now. Maybe your shoulders sink more into the bed. Maybe your eyes rest into your sockets a little bit more, or your heels and toes rest on the floor. Where else can you be physically held right now? Let gravity hold you. Let the earth hold you. Even if it's 2% more. Comrade, you are precious. You are necessary. And you get to be held. You are precious. You are necessary. You get to be held. And just see if there's any parts of you that want your own connection. And if so, you can bring your attention to that part of your body, or just place your hand somewhere that you need. If your hand is somewhere, play around with the pressure. So you might give yourself a little bit more pressure, or you might just give yourself. You might play around with some circles around that area that you are connecting with. Or maybe you're giving some taps. And just letting your hand be there and letting yourself know, I see you, boo. I see your grief. I see your rage. I see your confusion. I see your possibility. I see your wonder. I see you. I see your messiness. What's the pace of your breath right now? Is this pace moving with you or against you? And if your pace of your breathing is moving against you, change. Bring in more oxygen that allows more of your organs to take up more space. Find the inhales and the exhales that bring your body a little bit more care. You might need to slow down a bit. Maybe you let the exhale be a little bit longer. Maybe there's a scream tucked in the back of your throat that needs to come out. Let it come. Let it come. Let it come. Find your rhythm, find your pace, find your rhythm, find your pace. Fascism creates distrust between ourselves and each other. And trust begins when we remember who and how we are. So take a moment and let your body just answer this question from the neck down. How are you? How are you? And if that question feels too big to answer right now, how are you in this moment at 26 after the hour?
I wanna be free, so free, like a feather blowing through
We
the
welcome all that's
breeze,
here.
like
You don't
a
have to
bird
feel
in
everything.
a tree, like a
You can just dip your toenail in if that is all you need to do and with your feelings. So honor what is here. And then underneath that feeling, what do you need? What do you need? What is your body longing for? It might be more space, more organizing community, more attention to us. What do you need? Pay attention in particular to the parts of you that you might have forgotten that need your attention. What are your toes saying? What's the back of your neck saying? What about your fingertips and your belly? What do you need? Even if you cannot give yourself what you need right now, naming it is speaking truth to power. Beautiful, y'all. Beautiful. Check out your breath. Is your breath moving with you or against you? Find that flow that brings in more care and oxygen that can expand and make more space for your life. You can leave your hand where it is, or you can let it fall to the side. And check out to see if you want to expand. Some of us want to take up a lot of space right now because of all the messages that we are getting about how we are too radical and too loud and too much. So you might want to take up space with your arms and the lower part of your body, with your heart. Take up space, expand as much as you need to. Some of you might want to contract to protect yourselves, which makes sense. And if that's you, you can pull yourself in and hold yourself as closely as you need. So go ahead and choose right now, expansion, contraction. Some of you might play around with moving between the both, expanding out, pulling in to protect, expanding out to take up more space, pulling in to protect. All is valid. All moves are wise. Good, y'all. And one more here. Bring a hand to the heart if that feels okay and within your capacity and desire. And from this place, let your heart answer this question. Who do you need to be so that we can all be free? Who do you need to be so that we can all be free? Who do you need to be so that we can all be free, including yourself? You might need to be more humble, more strategic, talk less and listen more. You might need to honor the grief alongside your actions. Maybe you need a different pace. Maybe you need a new political home. Maybe you need to tell yourself the truth. Who do you need to be so that we can all be free? Beautiful, y'all. You can leave the hand there or let it fall to the side. You can stay as you are where you are, or gently come back to the screen. And I want to round out this practice with just 3 questions. What does your body already know about how to be with where we are? Even if it's like, I don't know right now, I need more time to figure it out. What will you commit to? And who will you commit to? Who are your people? Thank you all. Before I pass it off, I wanted to share one resource from the Building Movement Project that's a little bit more practical. I mean, that was also very practical in a different way. And this summer, we released the 2024 Elections and Beyond Toolkit, Fortifying Ourselves, Our Organizations, and Our Ecosystems, knowing very well that the scenario that we're in was a possibility. I want to thank so many of you for downloading this resource, but it has so many incredible frameworks and tools and invitations to welcome you in thinking about your role in this moment. Trying to do everything creates bad strategy, mischief, and mayhem. So getting to choose what is our role right now. There's no one organization or one person that can do everything, but who will we be in this moment? And then what are the strategic stances that we will take on to keep building power with our people, whether that is defending or making sure that we are documenting what's going on or disrupting. And then what are the ecosystems of care that we need to build to make sure that we are sustained into the future. So check out that resource. I'll put it into the chat if it's not already in there. And y'all, we got us. We got us. Thank you for showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up in all the ways that that means. Passing it over to you, Tamika.
Thank you so much, Adaku. Always beautiful. It was important for me because it's been a day. It's been a day. I'm very grateful. I saw a number of you asking about the music, and that was Beautiful Chorus. They are on all the streaming platforms. Go and get your life with every Beautiful Chorus album. You cannot go wrong. And so, yes, thank you again, Adaku. So our next presenter is a dear heart of mine. Also out here in the A doing reproductive justice work. Really just like a little bit of a reproductive justice superstar. I don't know. I'm not gonna, you know, you might not agree, but that's how I feel. Our next up is Oryaku Njoku, who is not only the founder of Restorative Care South, an abortion fund, the ARC Southeast, if people might buy ARC Southeast, an abortion fund that funds the entire region, just really doing phenomenal work, ensuring that folks get access to abortion in the South. And so founded that and ran that for years, and now is the executive director at the National Network of Abortion Funds. I feel like last year or maybe a year before was a Time 100 honoree. I don't know, but just doing big things in the world and in the streets. One of my faves. Please, everybody, welcome Oryaku.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Tamika. Thank you so much. I get all bashful, so I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to do with that introduction, honestly. But I appreciate you and have so much respect for you. Um, as Tamika said, my name is Oryaku Njoku. I use she and they pronouns, and I'm the executive director of the National Network of Abortion Funds. I'm a dark-skinned, fat Black woman with a slowly growing afro, gold hoops, brown rectangular glasses, and a sleeveless navy onesie because, as Tamika said, today has been a day. But before we get into it, I wanted us to take some time to collectively grieve and know that grief has a strange way of showing up in the most inopportune times. And honestly, today has been a day in that it's been kind of go, 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 call after call. I know I'm supposed to be providing a movement grounding, but what I have is some words for you all this evening. And, you know, I had my contacts on earlier. I was like, we're gonna get this day no matter what, regardless of who's in the administration. It's gonna be a good day. And I was fine. I put a dresser together after work. It was fantastic. And then go into my Slack messages and read a Slack message, and my IT team was asking me about my digital security and if I was okay. And that was the thing that actually broke me. Not the news, not the who's in the administration, but the fact that the gesture of just like caring so deeply makes me realize that in the times that we're about to be together, over the next 4 years, really going to have to figure out not only how to care for ourselves, but to care for each other, um, individually and collectively. And so this is not the time to hold in that grief. It's okay to let your grief out and what you're feeling in this moment. And I have to remind myself that we're human beings and not human doings. And we just received some horrible news. So it is okay to feel shell-shocked. It's okay to want answers. It's okay to seek out community in this moment of despair. Cry your tears, be angry, but you've got to get it out one way or another, as long as we're not harming ourselves or others. And we deserve a gentle landing place after receiving news like this, which is why Adaku's portion was just so grounding because that was a soft landing place to land, at least for me today. You know, everyone is still trying to figure out what our next steps are. And we are like every other person who believed that by making this move that we could stop the erosion of our democracy and the erasure of the people that we live with and work with and love. And we're receiving this information in real time and we're doing the best that we can given the circumstances and the conditions that we have before us. But the one thing that maybe this is part of my personal practice, but is to please hold on to the hope and the joy that we've conjured up over the last few weeks because there are folks like on the front lines, like abortion funds, who need you all now more than ever. And you know, this day is filled with so much uncertainty as to what the future holds. But what we do know is that our communities will stay committed to anchoring and flanking each other and organizations on the front lines working to change the material conditions on the ground as we get closer to our collective liberation. And it may not feel like that is something that is real right now, but we cannot stop and we cannot pretend like that is not part of the end goal. We cannot let the next 4 years keep us from still actively working to get to that future that we so deeply believe in. And we've gotten through a Trump administration before, but this time it's going to have to look and feel a lot different than it did the first time. We cannot enter these conversations ready to compromise on our livelihood. And we must be rigorous about our shit, y'all. We must be strategic and calculated and intentional about how we're moving forward together. And we cannot let the isolation and the silos keep us from not moving in coordination with one another. You know, we were presented with two choices this election cycle. And while the choice was so clear for so many of us, it was never a perfect choice, let's be honest. And while we're not out here striving for perfection, what I do believe is that we must build off the momentum and tap into the abundance of possibilities that comes with using things like the reproductive justice framework to guide us as we move through the next 4 years of a fascist regime. And it's going to be a combination of abrupt changes and a slow burn. But one thing is for sure is that we have to be here for the long game. And so what does the long game look like? It can look like a lot of things, y'all. I'm someone who believes in an abundance of possibilities, so there's a lot of ways that this could look. It looks like getting a little wild when we need to, having more rigor around being in community with one another to align on our next moves. It looks like leveling up our awareness and our shared understanding so we can move in a more coordinated way. It means anchoring and flanking folks like abortion fund leaders as they navigate this abortion access landscape in their communities. It means moving with discretion and tightening up in places where we have room to grow and increase our safety, but also our discernment to know when to push certain levers for change. It means studying together and being in principled struggle with one another as we navigate this terrain that feels both familiar and unfamiliar simultaneously. It means building up people and creating conditions for the next set of leaders to carry us through this moment that we're in. We also have to know what our opposition is doing, how they're moving, and think about proactive strategies to mitigate the harm that they will inevitably cause. And we can have a range of emotions, that is for sure. That is guaranteed for what we're up against over the next 4 years. But we also must commit to doing our own work on self-regulation and deciding how we want to be, and how we're able to show up as our best selves in service of a mission. And it's all hands on deck right now. And we each have a unique role to play in this next chapter, whether that is doing something like donating to your local abortion fund, whether that is getting in the streets, whether that is showing up to the next march, whether that is writing your senators and keeping track of what is happening on the state and local level. There's so many things and so many roles that we all have to play. So I know what my work is. I understand the assignment, but I'm also ready to do that work around grieving and practicing community care because I know that this next chapter is really going to take so much love and rigor from all of us. And that's all I've got, y'all.
Thank you so much, Oryaku. Everyone, please, please show all the love for Oryaku and with your little emojis and in the chat. Thank you so much. I saw folks were asking about how to follow people, the presenter. So Adaku can be found on IG at Solar, SOULAR, Bliss. And Oryaku, I know we can find you at the National Network of Abortion Fund's socials, but if you want to add anything else, if you can drop it in the chat for the people, that would be amazing. So I'm going to move us to our next presenter. Another dear love. Listen, all the Southern love in the building. Our next up is Aisha Rashid. Aisha, I have gotten to be in community with because of my work with the Kindred Southern Healing Justice Collective. And Aisha is just a phenomenal healer, body worker, coming out, living in New Orleans, not from New Orleans originally, but of New Orleans, we'll say, doing phenomenal work, and then has spent several years as the co-executive director at Southern. Please go out, have been a legacy organization here in the South, organizing LGBTQ folks and especially LGBTQ folks of color in the South. Just phenomenal work. And we are so grateful for all the things that Aisha does and has done. And it's now on sabbatical, FYI. So get into all the things we do to take care of ourselves. So I am going to pass it and turn it over to Aisha. Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. It's good to be with you, fam. Um, I really appreciate being in such beautiful and lovely company. As Tamika said, my name is Aisha Rashid, and I am beaming to you from New Orleans, a place that has been stewarded by many peoples, both indigenous folks and formerly enslaved Africans. And that has sometimes been called Balbuncha, which I love because it means land of many tongues. So a place that is a weave, and also the mouth of the Mississippi. So a place that holds so much that runs through this entire Turtle Island. So it's a blessing to be here with you tonight. I needed this too, so I feel that. And I really liked the description part, so I'm going to follow suit. I haven't done that before, but for those who can't see me, I am a dark-skinned, chocolatey, Black femme person. I use her, she, and they pronouns, with some growing out locks and cowrie shells that help me remember my connection to and communion with ancestors, and that I am in a place and a lineage that is in the middle of forever. So, when Tamika asked me to come and share something, I really was thinking today mostly about connection and care, which feels like it fits right into what so many people are saying and what we are sharing with you today. I spent the day really reflecting on compassion and loving kindness and practicing that imperfectly, because I'm always learning. I'm always a student as well as hopefully a guide. So years ago, in another moment of fear and great threat, which is one of many in all of our lifetimes, we sought to weave some protection for our community here. And what we heard back from the bayou was a message that has turned into both a mantra and a spell. So I wanted to share that with you, and then invite you, as you feel called to share, to say it with me, to invoke it. The beauty of thousands of people all over invoking this spell together, I think, brings us greater protection together. So this is how the spell works. This is how the spell works. We take care of ourselves, we take care of each other, we take care of our people. And just to say a few words about it, the message is the order is important, that you have to fill yourself up, that we need to take care of yourself so that you have something to offer and you have true and full offerings to others. But we also must take care of each other. We must tend to our relationships with each other so that we're building the communities and then the world that we seek. So that is how the spell works. And so as you feel called to, I want to invite all to join me in voice and repeat this mantra 3 times. So I'm going to ask you to take a breath. And again, as you're at your own pace and as feels right to your body. This is how the spell works. We take care of ourselves. We take care of each other. We take care of our people. This is how the spell works. We take care of ourselves. We take care of each other. We take care of our people. And this is how the spell works. We take care of ourselves. We take care of each other. We take care of our people. So much of the work of tending that is in front of us is about healing with each other and unlearning, rejecting, and decolonizing from the conditions of brutality that we are in, and not bringing that brutality into ourselves, into our homes and our communities, but finding the way to be in connection. And I know that I'm really setting my intention and renewing my commitment to turn toward community, to find ways to be in connection, to seek connection, to deepen and strengthen my relationships such that they can carry and hold me through the days and weeks and months and years ahead. I also was thinking about ancestors. Today is actually would have been my beloved brother's 50th birthday, who is gone on. And just thinking about him and my connection to all of my beloveds who have gone on and what they offered to me and what I can offer to the world past me. I love that quote that says, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And I know that I am. I know that I exist as one who is beyond what they could have imagined. And I'm so grateful that they dreamed me, that they took the time to dream me. And so now I know that I want to become the kind of ancestor that kind of ancestor. I want to be the ancestor who's dreaming wildly. And that, I think, is my charge. Dream wild, dream big, and to practice love such that the muscle memory is soaked into my flesh, to be fully human in partnership with all life, and to know that all I do now carries forward to generations that are unforeseeable. So I'm a body worker, as Tamika said, and the practice, in addition to the spell that I wanted to just invite us into, is just a few moments of touching our bodies to renew sensation and remember how powerful this container is and how precious and wonderful it is and how what it offers us back. And so this is a tapping practice. Some of you may have tried this before, you may have, but I invite you to experiment with it as you feel called to. And so as feels right in your body, at the pace that feels right, I want to invite you to. I'm going to stand up. You can stand or you don't have to. You can do it sitting, lying, really in whatever position feels right to your body. Let's see if I can get far enough back for the visual. Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna shake my hands out a little bit, let some energy come into my fingertips gently. And then gently, I'm gonna begin to just, with the tips of my fingers, tap my head. And I'm tapping at the crown of me, letting that sensation jump in, drop in. And now I'm tapping the back of my head and the sides along my ears. It can be nice and juicy to tap right behind the ears. And again, gently and as firmly as you feel comfortable. You're in your body and you'll know best what's the right rhythm and pace and depth for you. Then if you want to bring it to your face, like the eyebrows, I'll get closer just so folks can see. And then I'm coming to my cheekbones, tapping under my eyes. And again, doing all of this only as feels right in your body. So you can always move on or stay in a place that's better. And then I'm coming to my neck and to my shoulders, across my shoulders. And then to my collarbones, tapping into my chest. Great. Just bringing attention to these places in my body that might be holding some tension I might not have noticed. Giving love. And now with one arm out, I'm going to use my palm gently and pat along my arm, giving energy there. And then back, tapping the top of my hand and the top of my arm all the way back up to my shoulder. Nice. And I'm doing the same thing with the other side. Tapping. And over the top of my hand, up my arm, and into my shoulder, neck. And now I'm coming back to my fingertips, and I am tapping at the center of my chest. And then I'm coming down. And then it can be nice to use flat hands here. Open your palms, pat your belly, feel what's in there. Give yourself a little pat and some love on the soft front. And then I'm going down the sides of my legs and down all the way to my foot, but I can also stop just as far down as I want to bend. And now I'm coming to the insides of my legs and doing the same thing up the insides of my thighs, patting back to my belly. And now I'm going to go around my hips. And now I'm going to make a soft fist, not a hard fist, but a soft fist, just where it's loose. You might want to change your temp. And a little bit on the butt. We keep a lot in here often. People often have a lot of tension. So it's nice to just touch and feel into there. And again, this is something that you could do for as long or as short as you feel good about or feels joyous and juicy in your body. But I'm going to bring us back to the chest and the sternum and just invite you to tap there. And now I'm slowing down. Slow, slow, slow. And releasing. And letting my arms release. And just taking a breath. Okay. Well, I invite you to just return to your position. And I hope that practice is something that you can remember to do in moments when you're not sure what to do, and take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I'm so grateful to be in network with you. Sending you love.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Oh my gosh, I forgot how good tapping feels. Oh my goodness. But sometimes we have tools in our toolbox and we just forget to connect to them. And so let this be a reminder to tap into the tools that are in your own toolbox. Next up, oh my gosh, I'm excited. I thought she wasn't going to make it to the call. Our next, our next presenter is my good sis and my god sis, the Reverend Esty Nina Dillard. Esty is both a reverend and a priestess and a ritualist and a all-around dope person. She is the faith coordinator for Sister Song, Women of Color for Reproductive Justice, and just is one of my favorite people, my good sis. I keep saying, I said that about everybody in this call. As you see, there's a theme about who got invited to be on this call. So I know I think she's in the airport somewhere, but I want to invite Esty, if you want to jump on and just give us an offering, whatever you got to give from where you are at this. Oh no, I think she dropped. I think we lost her. Okay, she was on a plane here she comes. She's back. Hold on. We'll see. She was flying. She was in transit and trying to make it here to be with y'all. Esty, you with us? Oh, we might have to come back to her. Okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. Where we will go now then is to again my good sis and my children's TT, my children's auntie Sakari, my children's auntie Soso, Sakari Brown, who is, man, I can't say enough about Sakari, who I met as a performer, is the founder of the Nalo Arts Collective, which is a performing arts company for Black women telling our stories. And I got to be a part of that collective doing that work many years ago. Is also a nurse practitioner and therapist and yoga instructor. And and it's on staff at the Kendra Southern Healing Justice Collective. And just really like when somebody says a Jill of all trades, this Sakari. She does all the things. You want a party planned? Boom. Whatever you want done in the world, that is her. So I am going to pass it over to Sakari to lead us through the next bit, and then we'll come back and Esty can close us out.
Greetings, everyone. Again, my name is Sakari. Tamika, thank you for that beautiful and hilarious introduction. I am honored to be your good sis, your children's TT, and among all the amazing healers that you have invited to be a part of this space today. And Aisha, thank you for that beautiful spell and tapping practice. Thank you so much. The offering that I intend to share with you all this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you're joining from, is a restorative yoga practice. And the intention of this practice is to offer a space for some deliberate rest and deliberate stillness. And so this is the part of the program where you're invited to gather those things that Tamika mentioned at the top of the hour that you may need, whether that is a yoga mat or your couch or a blanket, your cozy socks, anything that you need to bring in or support your comfort, your ease, and your rest. We'll be in our practice together for about 20 minutes or so, just so you have an idea of where we're going. And then at the close of the practice, I will offer an opportunity for you to journal or free write about anything that may have come up for you during the course of our time together, the course of the practice, just anything that may be on top for you. So before we get started, I invite you to maybe just take the next 30 seconds or so to gather anything that you might need to support your comfort and ease. Okay. And I would definitely like to encourage my comrades here who are holding space with me to enjoy the practice as well. So feel free to turn your cameras off. And make your space as comfy, as cozy as you like. So if that looks like turning off the lights or lighting a candle, burning some incense or sage, take this time to create the container that will best support and hold you for these next 20 minutes or so of deliberate and intentional rest. Okay. And we are going to begin our practice today with just an invitation or an ask for you to reflect on or connect to a question that was asked at the top of the hour, what it is that's nourishing you, what it is that's holding you during this moment, all right? From family and friends to pets and sunsets, all the beautiful things that were named. Just invite you to reflect on those things that are holding you and supporting you as you settle into what my dear teacher, Octavia Rahim, refers to as a rest nest. So get your pillow as comfy and your blankets as full and cozy as you need to be. And we can start from either a posture of sitting up, so maybe crisscross applesauce, or if you're already reclined, I invite you to stay exactly where you are. Meet yourself exactly where you are this evening and begin to shift your awareness to your breath. So just begin to notice the breath as it comes and goes. Notice whatever effort or ease there may be accompanying the breath. Not looking to shift or change anything, but again, just meeting yourself exactly where you are, starting with the breath. And on your next inhale, I invite you to really fill up and full up. Notice the rise and the filling and the expanding and the widening of the chest with your breath in. And on the exhale, notice the chest soften, allow the body to relax, and see if on the exhale you can let something go. As we continue to settle in and shift our attention inward, I invite you to do so this evening with a sense of tenderness and acceptance and patience. Taking a moment here at the top of our practice to honor ourselves for showing up. honoring ourselves for setting aside time that's just for us to be in community, to connect, and to center care and congruence and choice, as Adaku mentioned earlier. Honoring the understanding that in order to say yes to this, you likely had to say no to something else. So just taking a moment here to honor yourself for showing up, carving out this time that's just for you. As we recenter and bring our awareness back to the breath, I invite you to remember that we don't just breathe for ourselves, but we breathe for our families. We breathe for our comrades. We breathe for our communities. As you continue to settle into your space, I encourage you to take up some space. Spread out, stretch out, get comfortable. And as we're continuing to settle in, if you're like, oh, I didn't grab my water, or oh, I didn't get the right cozy socks, take a moment to grab what you need. Set yourself up to be as comfortable as possible. And as we allow ourselves to collectively take up space, I'd just like to name that this is a safe space, a space to honor our grief, a right to center our healing, a right to focus on our wellness and our wholeness. Allow yourself to feel held, to feel protected, to feel supported. Maybe on your inhale, you say, I am. And on the exhale, protected. Remembering that we breathe for those who came before us. We breathe for those who no longer can. And so for the next 5 breaths, as you continue to settle in, I invite you to just notice and feel. Notice if anything shifts or changes as we become more intentional and more focused and more deliberate with our breathing. And as we move towards stillness, I invite you to start by noticing, or continue rather, by noticing the body. So notice any sensations that you might be feeling, any areas that feel open or free or tight or tense. Notice if there are any shifts or adjustments that you can make to further support your comfort and ease. Notice and feel the support of your yoga mat or your blanket or your bed or your cushion or your couch beneath you. Notice and feel and become aware of the earth holding you. Bring your awareness to the top of your head. And as you do so, I invite you to begin to scan the body, starting with the crown of the head, moving down to the tips of the toes. And notice how your body feels as you pay attention to it, as you bring your awareness to it. Maybe you become aware of the temperature in the room, or maybe you begin to notice the sensation of your clothing against your skin or your blanket against your body. Just noticing here what you feel. And I invite you here to bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And deepen the awareness of the container, your physical body, with any sensations you might be observing as we further deepen into deliberate rest and stillness. With a hand on the heart and a hand on the belly, and notice and feel the rise and fall of the chest and the belly with each inhalation and each exhalation. Noticing the quality of the breath, inviting in a sense of ease, and sending the breaths to any places that feel tight or tense or resistant. I invite you now to bring the hands to rest at your side. And if you've landed in a place that feels comfortable and easy for you, I invite you to notice if there's a place where you can get maybe 1 or 2% more comfortable. If you're still trying to figure out what that looks or feels like for you, take all the time that you need to get as comfortable and relaxed as you need. Let your breath take its own natural pace. And just begin to ask yourself, what else you need? Is there anything else that needs to be held? Is there anything else that needs to be released in this moment? I love the previous question that was asked. What does your body already know about what it needs in this moment? Taking a deep inhale through your nose and exhale the breath with a sigh. Once again, I invite you to inhale the breath through the nose. Maybe this time shrug the shoulders up to the ears. And then on the exhale, release the shoulders. Allow the body to sink a little more deeply into your mat or your cushion or your blanket. Noticing if there are any places where you are holding or gripping or grasping, and seeing if you have capacity to let go. Coming back into this idea of what is nourishing us, what we are leaning into, what is holding us. I'd like to remind us that rest is a practice. Rest is a form of resistance. Rest is a way to move towards our collective freedom and liberation. And rest provides an outlet for us to center safety, community, care, connection, congruence, and choice. And so with that being said, if at any time you need to make any shifts or changes, or if anything that I'm suggesting doesn't work for what you need in this moment, you always have the choice to make the adjustment that best suits you at this time. So bring your awareness to the feet. Relax the feet, the toes, the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet, the heels, the ankles. Relax the legs, the shins, the calves, the knees, the thighs, the pelvis. Let the entire lower body relax. Relax the hands, the fingers, the palms, the backs of the hands, the wrists. Relax the forearms, the elbows, the upper arms, the shoulders. Let all 4 limbs relax. Relax the belly, the torso, the center of the chest, the heart centered deep behind the sternum. Relax the entire body. Relax the muscles of the face. Unclench the teeth. Relax the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Relax the muscles around the eyes. Relax the space between the brows. Relax the forehead. Relax the crown of the head. Let the entire body relax. We'll be here in intentional silence for the next 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you'll hear my voice. Bell Hooks says, the moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. That action is the testimony of love as the practice of freedom. So notice how you feel after intentional stillness and deliberate rest. Rest as a form of resistance. Rest as a way to move towards freedom and liberation. One of my teachers says regarding restorative yoga, just because we're doing nothing doesn't mean nothing is happening. Acknowledging that taking this time to be still is a way to calm and soothe the nervous system, to reduce stress, to minimize anxiety. Really being intentional about honoring the mind and body connection. So slowly begin to bring your awareness back to your body. Perhaps you can let the breath deepen, wiggle the fingers, toes, the hands, the feet. And maybe this feels like a good time to take a stretch, or really stretching through the arms and through the legs, like you're maybe waking up at the top of the morning or after a really good nap. Gently shift your awareness back into your physical space. And if it feels like a part of your practice, I invite you now to grab your journal, and we'll take maybe the next minute and a half to journal, free write anything that may have come up for you, anything that's on your heart, anything that's on your mind, anything about how you're feeling. It'll take about 1.5 minutes. Take maybe the next 30 seconds to find a good place to pause with your journaling. And then as you're ready, you can make your way back up to seated position, a more alert or aware position. If you also want to stay exactly as you are, you're free to do so. Honor what you need in this moment. And I just want to reshare the quote that I read from All About Love by Bell Hooks. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. That action is the testimony of love as the practice of freedom. Thank you all for your practice.
Thank you so much, Sakari. I just want y'all to know that my teenager was like, oh, that's Auntie Sakari. He knows his practice. He has been in his practice with her. So yes, yes, yes. Amanda, can you switch the spotlight for me, love? Amanda might have been in a restorative practice as well. I know plenty times I have been in restorative practice and have been like, oh shoot, I went to sleep. So I've already introduced our final speaker. Before she comes up, I want to say one that people were asking and I forgot to answer a couple times, but we had at the height of this call, we had 1,600 people, friends join us. So shout out, multiple people asked how many people were on. So we had about 1,700 people. And then, so we want to thank y'all so much for rocking with us. After this call is over, the video will live on our YouTube where it's currently streaming, and it will also live on the Women's March Facebook. So just search Women's March on YouTube and on Facebook, and you will find it and you will be able to join us. The book is called All About Love by Bell Hooks. If you haven't read it, it's a part of a series. Get into it. And so I'm going to toss it. One more thing before I toss it, and then I'm really going to let her close us out, and then we're going to leave. But I want to say, I hear y'all. I see all the questions about mobilization in the chat. Y'all are the Women's March who came in to march, and I understand. We will be making announcements. There is an announcement for those of you who are on our email list. You should have seen an announcement come into your inboxes today about Saturday in DC. You will keep paying attention to our socials, and you will see more announcements over the next 2 days about mobilization over the next several months. So please stay in the loop with us. You can also check out Time to Act, Time to act, ACT, works with an S, WORKS, and you will find information about a lot of formation, a network of organizations across social movement left that have been that are organizing and are mobilizing. And Amanda just dropped the text code in the chat. If you text time, all capitals, time, number 2, act, and you text that to 44310, you can get added to the text list and find out about mobilizations happening across the country, anchored by Women's March and a number of our partner organizations. So with that, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to thank again all of our speakers and our panelists. Y'all talked about needing to be in community. I got to be in community with a bunch of my dear hearts. So I am feeling very full and didn't realize how much I needed that until this moment. So I want to pass it to the Reverend Yelosha Esti Nina Dillard.
Hello, 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 family. Somebody give me a thumbs up to let me know that you can hear me clearly. I perfect. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for that restorative practice. Oh my God, it was what I needed in addition to the things that I was able to catch after I got on the ground. I know the hour is late, so I ask that if you are here, if you would just give me 6 more minutes. We are going to close out with the ancestral activation. When I was doing my daily ancestral practice yesterday, I woke up and spent some time early, as I'm from the country, as my mom and them would say, at dark 30 in the morning. And the word that the ancestors gave me to share with community was that we are not alone. We have not been here before. We have been here before, excuse me, and we are not alone, right? And when I first received the message, I was kind of like, what you mean? This is the most significant election of my lifetime. I'm sure of it, right? Like, I'm sure that I ain't seen nothing like this before, and I ain't gonna see nothing like this again. And they gave me this really, really powerful image to remind me that my ancestors have my front, my back, my right, my left, my above, and my below, right? They sit at my feet and at my head. And so, community, I want us to remember that while we in this consciousness, in this body, in this personal experience, might be seeing something that is new or different, that gives us a different level of grief, that gives us a different experience, right? That causes us to have to shift some things, to have a different perspective. The we that surrounds you, the we that walks with you, the we that asks for your spirit to come by name at this time, in this season, for such a time as this, the collective we of your ancestral symphony that surrounds you, that loves on you, that is constantly protecting, covering, and ensuring that you are in alignment with them. We have been here before, which means we know the tools, which means we know the tricks, which means we know the antidote to the tricks, and which means that we also have the power, right? So I want to walk us through a short exercise to connect and activate that ancestral power that does not move us too quickly from the practice of restoration, that does not move us too quickly from our grief, that does not move us too quickly from the fullness of this moment, because we need the power of our emotional wellness, just like we need the power of our ancestors and the power of our mobilization. So if you are still in your position from restorative practice, you do not have to move at all. I invite us to just feel grounded in this moment. I ask that you just plant your feet if you're sitting. If you're laying, I just want you to feel the ground beneath you. If you are standing, I just want you to get in a position where you are planted and you can feel the support that is beneath you. And I want you to think of an ancestor on your paternal side, on your father's side. If you do not have an active ancestor on your father's side that you can think of, then I want you to call on a community ancestor and a collective ancestor that represents strength to you. And I want you to take a moment and really pull that person's energy. Call their name, call their face into your mind, call an experience with them if you have one, call an attribute of their character that you admire that represents that strength to you. Call that ancestor to you right now in this moment, right? And I want you to take your right foot and I want you to stomp it on the ground or press it on the ground if you are laying 3 times and say that ancestor's name. For me, I'm going to call on my father, David Lee Dillard. David Lee Dillard. David Lee Dillard. I see some ancestors in the chat. Feel free to do that. I saw somebody say, Aunt Ruth, we are calling on you. We are calling on you. And I want you to tell them what you want for you, right? This practice is restorative for us. It's not just for community, but it is for our own wellness and for our own spirit. I see Nora Ellen McQuillan. We call on you, great ancestor. Ruth Ann McClendon. We call on you. Catherine, my mother Diane. We are calling on you. We are calling on our collective ancestors for strength. We're calling on the ancestors of our father's line. We call on the ones who ensure that protection is always around us. We call on great-grandfather Pedro Paliza. We call on our mother Robin and Love. We call on grandmother Ellen. I see the names. Keep putting them in the chat. Keep putting them in the chat. Call them down to you, right? Visualize them, their character, their attributes, their strength, what they bring to you. Visualize it completely encapsulating you in the front, in the back, on the right, on the left. See you being completely cocooned by this strength, by this power, by this Aisha, right? By the unique imprint of the divine that existed in them that already exists in you. We call on you. We call on you. We call on you. We activate your power. We activate your desire to see us be well. We activate your desire to see us thrive in the land that you built, in the land that you poured into, all the places that indeed represent your desire to see us be well and to see our spirits come down into this place for such a time as this. We know you have seen it before. Surround us with the strength that you gathered and add your strength to our strength because we need it today. Yeah. Yeah. We call on you. I want us to take a moment and think of an ancestor on our mother's side or an ancestor that represents for us a community ancestor or a collective ancestor that represents safety for us, right? And the soft places that we can land, not just safety, but the sanctity of safety, right? I'm gonna call on my big mama. I'm gonna call on my big mama, Lorinda Nelson, right? Because that was the place where you could always go and know it was a soft place to land, right? There's a story of my mama running away from my grandparents' house to run to my big mama's house. Now we know how our ancestors roll, right? Big mama was never in a disagreement with the parents, right? But she was a soft place to land, right? She was a place where my mama knew she was safe. My big mama always had food on the stove and always had a hug and a lap that you could lay your head in and leave your burdens at her feet. And big mama was going to also do the work of taking her burdens to the divine and leaving them there likewise. So we call on you. I want you to take that left foot, right? And impress it 3 times against the ground. I'm calling on Lorinda Nelson, Lorinda Nelson, Lorinda Nelson. We activate the power of soft places to land in this time. We activate the power of knowing that we are safe. We activate the power of a mother's level of intention that no matter where my baby goes, she's always going to be covered. He's always going to be protected. They're always going to be surrounded. We are calling on the Aisha of soft places to land. Our ancestors desire for us to have life that is filled with ease. Our ancestors desire that even when we are working and mobilizing, that we have community, that we have places to go that surround us in the ways that do us well and mean us well. So I want you to, just like we did on the father side, envision that face in the front. Envision that strength in the back. Envision that soft place to land on your right and on your left. Envision and name and call up you, right? Call up the porches and the conversation. Call up the exchange of what happened at the kitchen table over pound cake. Call up these ancestors who ensure that there is not a moment, there is not a day, there is not a possibility of you ever being in this world by yourself, of you ever being in this fight by yourself, of you ever being in this experience alone. Great ancestors, we invite you to hug us and hold us and cocoon us in this moment. We say thank you for your Ashe. We say thank you for the reminder that you have seen what we have not seen. But when we add our Ashe one to the other, we can see victory and love and thriving and wholeness and wellness fully and completely in this life. Blessings to you, family. Go in peace. Get the rest that you need. And we activate the fullness of our power for our healing, for our blessed destiny, for the fullness of our emotions, even in moments of grief, to know that our ancestors desire us to be human first and to walk fully in our power at the same time. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, y'all.
Ashe. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for joining us. We will see y'all in the struggle. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.